if Shazam was an Invincible Part 1 Season 2. Now, last part 6, the final finale of this What If for Season 1 of Invincible was a year ago. And I'm back with a better version of how I did What Is back then. And I'm ready to give you guys the continuation of this series. Now, I also will be continuing What If Superboy and Superman were in Invincible Part 2, Season 2. I'm going to do that. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe. And as always, guys, let's dive right into the story. Now, we last left off after, Mark and Billy were still boxed up by Nolan. They were still boxed up by Nolan, and nothing really definitively changed. Not much, at least. Now, we did get a little bit of a recap of Monster Girl and the Guardians of the Globe dying from last season, and also the fact that Nolan was the big bad throughout the whole series. And also the big major fact that Mark was destined to rule Earth, was destined to help his father. And he's a Voltronite, part of a race of basically superhuman, like Superman and, I guess you could say, Saiyan mixture. Like the mentality of a Saiyan with the powers, somewhat similar to the powers of a, Kryptonian. Now, bit is simple. We would get a recap of all these events happening, and eventually we get switched to current time with the, aftermath of everything that happened. As we would see that Mark would have been flying around, basically taking on some sort of big bad. As he would have been taking on, you could say it was kind of weird, but we would start off with Mark fighting, you could call it, I guess, a version of a mortal. But in this universe, it was different. It was, in this universe, keyword, it was a different version, different outcome of events. In this universe, Mark would have had no real empathy for humanity. He would side with his father, and he would take down, the immortal. As we would have taken him out, eventually, us getting shown this universe, us getting shown the multiverse part of this story, and how Mark and his father joined forces to take down this world. But in this universe, in this world, plus the original Mark had a part of himself that was better, and that was even more reflected by Billy's help and their brotherly bond. In this universe, Mark never was in the same family as Billy. Billy was never given the powers of Shazam. Billy was never adopted by the Nolan family. And to put it simple, he died in the incursion, the fight. As we get switched to Dr. Angstrom, as he would have seen this whole apocalypse happen, or this version of Dr. Angstrom, as we get shown an underground bunker ran by Robot, as Robot and the rest of the team, including Adam Eve, they're pretty much, I guess, survivors, would have get boxed up by Mark and Omni-Man. They would get boxed up real fast, and basically the story would have ended pretty quickly. And pretty much Eve being disabled or pretty much getting paralyzed by Mark, as the story would have ended off there. Now in this world, everybody would get slaughtered by Mark and his father, as it would be, the rebellion. As we get switched back to the present time in our universe with our original Mark and our Billy, as Mark would have been standing over the same mountain he was pummeled by his father, as he would have been flying around the city, saving and taking down fires, and basically just saving the day. As we would have seen that Mark would have been flying around and basically would have just been chilling and doing his thing. Now we'll see that he would be taking down and saving lives with water, basically him taking that whole fire in the beginning of the episode, the same way he did, Billy not really being in the part of the story just yet. Now we get switched to Billy, as Billy would have been flying around the city, him bumping into his brother, as his brother would have told him, "Where are you?" or "Where have you been?" As we would get switched to a little bit of flashback, as basically it's simple, the last couple of months, last couple of weeks, Billy's been to himself. Billy's been locked away in his room. He's been going around the city, going around the planet, time in and time out throughout his Shazam form, barely even being in his human form anymore, as he would be filled with rage, depression, and guilt on how he couldn't see through his father's lies. He thought his father loved him. He thought his father loved all of them. But he was just an adopted kid, and Mark was just a mistake on his part. He was never really supposed to be born. Nolan was never even supposed to become an ally to Earth. He was supposed to rule it, supposed to take it down. Now we would get switched to a bunch of robbers being stopped by Mark alongside Shazam. As Shazam would have saw the bad guys and would have zapped him down to the ground, saying, "On a day's work." As he would have looked away, as he would have just flew off, having no emotion. As Mark would have noticed that, well, with Nolan, and the world would have been changed forever with Nolan. The faith in Omni-Man would have been taken, ripped apart. Thousands of hundreds of people's lives would have been murdered and lost in that fight from last season. And Billy felt that most pain. The same with Mark. But Billy felt more pain than ever because he thought he had a father. He thought he found someone that loved him. He thought he found a family. But then it came crashing down, and Debbie became more into herself. She tried to comfort Billy, but Billy still couldn't really trust himself enough to love anybody after that, as he was truly broken after Nolan would have destroyed his trust, destroyed everybody's trust. But this would change Billy and make Billy a lot darker, a lot less empathetic, a lot less nicer and kinder as he was in the last season, and it would have changed him more than you could possibly imagine. Now, during this turn of events, we would switch back to basically Mark just saving people around the planet and just passing time, as he would have saw a crime happening by a supervillain, as he would have tried to stop it, but him realizing that he started to have flashbacks of him being taken down by his father, him being used as a human meat bag against a freaking train, as he would have chickened out, as he would have flew off. As we would have seen that Billy back at the house would have not been there, as Mark would have walked into his room and would have just walked right back out. And Mark sitting on the roof just thinking about what everything happened, as he would have looked at the news, or Billy would have looked at the news actually at his apartment, as he would have used his Shazam body to basically use it to basically look over the news, as he would have seen the news as it would have been the aftermath of Omni-Man's attack. Life after Omni-Man. Chicago would have been ruined in ruins. As we would have seen Debbie look at the news and would have turned it off on her side of the planet, or her side of the city. As she would have said bye to Mark and would have asked him, "Where's Billy?" As Mark would have said, "I haven't heard from Billy since a couple hours ago. We bumped into each other near the city, but he doesn't want to come back home yet." As Debbie would have kind of sighed, saying, "Well, if you see him, tell him to come home. Tell him we miss him." As Mark would have said, "I miss him too, Mom, but he needs time to heal. We all do. I think he's feeling the most pain out of it. He's feeling just the amount of pain I'm feeling right now." As we would get switched to basically, well, a secure maximum prison. As we would get switched to the Muller twins being busted out by Dr. Angstrom with his teleportation powers. As he would have explained to the Muller twins about the multiverse, about Omni-Man, and about Invincible, and how it's multiple different universes, and also it's a different universes that, well, include the hero, Shazam. As he would have told him that their universe is interesting, because it's never been a universe where Billy Batson became friends with Invincible. Matter of fact, there's never really been a universe where Billy Batson was ever born and given powers. As Dr. Angstrom would have gone over how your universe is unique more than any others. Your universe has a Shazam. No other does. As we get switched to different realities, as he would have shown them that in your universe, I need your help making something that could save the universe. It's the multiverse. As he would also explain a big part of their story, as he thought it was interesting but never really wanted to act on it, that Shazam is probably the most powerful being in the multiverse in our universe. He is the only version that exists in this world. he's only Billy Batson with powers in our universe, in our multiverse. Every other Billy Batson either became a villain, a crook, a kid that was shot on the side of the road. Automatically at the end, as he would explain that Billy Batson was never even supposed to become a hero. In this universe, something happened, something different happened, and it intrigued Dr. Angstrom, but he didn't want to actually really vocalize on it too much, as he would have went back to his main original, thing, as he wanted to save the multiverse and have their help. As we would have seen that everybody would have been seeing Mark, as Mark would have arrived back to school, as people would have been looking at him, and same thing with Billy, they would have been looking at him as well, basically saying that I'm really sorry for your loss and your father's loss, as the bully from last season would have actually hugged Mark, saying I'm sorry about what happened to your dad and everything, as he would have been a slight little comment about how Omni-Man's literally the worst and how the world hasn't been the same after him. But as he would have said goodbye to Mark, saying see you later, man, as he would have also told Mark that his brother was seen around the campus a few hours ago, as Mark would have kind of zoned out after the bully would have gone more into detail about everything that happened, about him losing his father, but everything would basically just go back, I guess, to normal, as pretty much they walked him away, as they would have had the same conversation, but Mark going on about how I'm responsible for all those people's deaths. As in this universe, a little bit more people wouldn't have died as much, but a lot more people, actually, matter of fact, a lot more people would have died, because it would have been 3 superhuman beings fighting each other to the brink of death. It would have been a lot more fatalities, with lightning going everywhere from Billy. Billy being hurt the most, since he did accidentally kill a few people while he was trying to fight his father. Now, to put it simple, Mark was shook. And he also needed his brother too, but his brother was never there. His brother isn't there, and he needs him. He's the only family he has that grew up with him, that knows what he's going through, that really knows how it is to be a hero, to fight alongside dad, to be taught by him. But to be pushed away, but to know that he was nothing but a facade. He lied about his feelings. He lied about loving us, as he would have talked to Amber, saying that I need my brother. If you see him, tell him to come home, okay? As he would have basically started to cry and break down. As we would have switched to, Cecil. As Cecil would have started to sit down near Diner and talk to Mark. As Mark would have said that I need to get back in the field. As he would have said they had the same conversation, but also Cecil asking about his brother, saying that we've seen surveillance around his brother. His brother became brutal. As Mark would have said, we're all being affected in different ways. As Cecil would have said, your brother is becoming more of a threat. He's becoming brutal. He's not pulling back his punches anymore. He's became bitter. As we would get told that Mark needs to talk to his brother, but also he's not ready. Neither you or your brother is ready to be in the field, but your brother is still out there trying to do good, but he's just hurting more people as he's going. He's trying to deal with the pain of losing a father, of his father leaving him, as your father being unstable. As Mark would have gotten angry at Cecil, telling him that him and his brother are fit and we are capable. I need to get back in the field. I need to get my head off of this. So does Billy. Billy knows what he has to do, and I do too. As he would have crushed the table, basically saying that I need to get my head off of it. As Cecil would have said, take a breather, kid. Go back to school. Relax. You're not ready for the field yet. As Mark would have been left there in, misery, being angry at Cecil. As Cecil would have teleported back and would have seen some surveillance, as he would have saw that, the Guardians of the Globe are going against some sort of big mad villain. As Cecil would have said, send them in there. I want to see how good they can do. See if they can stop it from happening, or more fatalities for happening. As we would have seen that, this big monster guy was getting being distracted by Rexplode. As Rexplode would have tried to take him out, but Rexplode getting boxed up real fast, or trying to get out of the way real fast. As we would have seen that Shazam would have come out of nowhere, starting to strike lightning with this beam. As he would have get smacked around and would have got punched by the beam, being thrown into a nearby, wall. As he would have got knocked out for the rest of the fight. Now, the robot would have been in his Iron Man type robot suit, as he would have started to fight against this monster. as eventually things would have escalated, eventually coming down to Robot getting saved by Monster Girl, because Robot would have actually started to freak out, because this is different. He's not a video game. He's here. He's actually in person. He's not in a robot suit. He's here in a suit. As we would see that, well, Shrinkway would have pretty much side-blinded the alien or the robot, as we would have seen that also Black Samson would have also tried to fight him, as Robot said that it was some sort of container system or some sort of parking lot underneath the building, as if we could take it down, we can make him fall in there, or make her or him or whatever fall in there and basically take him out. As a Robot would have still been saved, like I said earlier, this is a little bit of later on, but he would have been saved by Robot Girl, as we would have seen that before this happened, before anybody really went down, exactly the second after Black Samson would have punched her alien or the monster in the feet, and Rexwell would have activated the bombs, the robot would have seen that it was different. As Shazam would have gone out the wall, as he would have flew down, basically striking a huge bolt of lightning into the ground, taking down the monster incredibly fast. As everybody would have saw him, as Shazam would have flew down on the ground on the monster's chest, saying, "I'm sorry, it wasn't much help, guys." As he would have flew up into the sky, leaving them behind. As he would have flew around the planet. As he basically would have started to just think about everything. As he would have flew back home. As we would have switched to a nearby dock area in the universe, as we would have seen Dr. Langstrom talk to the, Molar Twins about his big plan of basically taking all the multiverse versions of his self and pitting all their memories into his mind, so it can help every other multiverse stop hunger. And every multiverse is different cures to different diseases. In one universe, maybe there's a cure to cancer. In one universe, there's a cure to world hunger. And everything to think about is in these different multiverses, these different worlds. As he would have explained more on his plan, but eventually you get the whole gist. If you've seen season 1, you know the original plan. The plan Dr. Langstrom has in, his canon. As we could have switched to Debbie going in the house, as you would have seen Billy on the door, or not the door, but on the, basically, couch. As Billy would have said that your friend's here. As she would have looked, and it would have been Red Wretch's wife, or widow. As they would have started to talk a little bit more about everything that happened. As they would have started to talk, and she would have also, told her that it's a support group for women that were, or people that were in relationships with heroes. As she went there a few times, and I feel like you can benefit by a lot of it, Debbie. You could benefit a lot from it. As Debbie would have tried to think about her offer. As Billy would have been on the roof, basically thinking about everything. As after, the girl would have left, Debbie would have gone onto the roof and would have tried to talk to Billy. As before that happened, Mark would have came home. And they would have told Mark that your brother's on the roof. As Mark would have gotten a little bit happy. As he would have ran up the stairs and would have gotten through the window looking at Billy. Billy being in his teenage form, as Mark would have walked towards Billy saying that, "Are you okay? I've heard Cecil's been saying you're a liability or something." As Billy would have said, I don't know what's going on with me. With everything happening with Dad and everything he did to us, everything he lied about. It's just, I've lost so many people in my life, Mark. I thought I lost you that day. I thought I lost everybody. I thought I lost my life. I don't know about you, but I just don't know. He could be anywhere, and I want to see him. I want to beat him. I want to fight him. I can't forgive him. He's somewhere around there. He's somewhere in the space. He's probably at Viltrum or something. I don't know. But he left. He left, and he didn't give us a reason why. He left after he beat us to death. He told us Mom is a pet. He literally destroyed us. And then Alan came, and he told us he had people here watching us. And Viltrum. I want to go there. I want to teach them. I want to take them all down, because they took what I thought was a loving family away from me. He blindsided himself into Earth knocked up mom, and then, oh, I don't know, adopted a human boy, and then proceeded to act like a loving man, like he was human, like he was empathetic, like he actually had a soul. As Mark would have been kind of agreeing with him, but saying he's still our father. He still raised us, Billy. He still in some ways is our dad. As Billy would have said, he raised me, yeah, but he's not my father. He's not my daddy. He's not the man I thought he was. As Mark would have said that we need to calm down. You need to think. Cecil said you became bitter. You became dark. As Billy would have said, yes. I guess I became bitter. I don't hold back my punches anymore, Mark. Like you shouldn't either. As Mark would have said, I don't hold back my punches. Billy saying, you do. You do, and you held back with Dad. You should have went all out. Lord knows I tried to. As Mark would have just told him that we need to slow down. Now, we would have been switched the next day, as Mark would have been talking to Eve. And Billy would have left school a little earlier, flying to, well, South Carolina, as he would have had a little bit of a rock or a mountain down there that he liked to sit on, I like to think about. As we would have been flying around the whole planet, eventually to Alaska, as he would have sat down. Now, this part of the story would change a tad bit. Now, Cecil would have been looking into what the Muller twins were doing, as they would have been getting advanced technology to make the, well, machine that Angstrom wanted to build. Now, eventually, all the parts of the story would have gone exactly nearly the same as Mark, and basically, Billy would have still had the same type of talk. They would have had a talk on our rooftop at the house as Billy would have arrived back home. As they would have yelled at each other, saying that they need to figure out what's really changing them. As Dad just didn't. He unlocked the part of me that I didn't think was in me, as Bill would have gone more into depth into that. But we get switched away from that story. Us eventually being told that Cecil would have actually looked into Mark and would have given him a chance, as Mark would have been back in the field, but being controlled by Cecil. But Cecil would have taken down, or would have told Mark to take down whatever Stedman and pretty much the militants were working on, as they eventually would have taken them down. Basically, Billy also showing up there and helping Mark. Now, in this continuity, in this version, the explosion would be minimized just a little bit, but still the same outcome would happen. Angstrom would still be deformed, and he would still be damaged. His mind being flooded and shifted into all the memories, all the personalities of the other Angstroms. Him becoming all of them, him thinking they all are him. He is them and they are him. Now, the story would have ended off there, as I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please like and subscribe. Part 2, Season 2 of Invincible. What if Shazam was invincible? It's going to be a little bit more better. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.